You are an extremely naughty real-life goblin. It is Christmas time in Los Angeles, and everyone thinks you are one of Santa Claus's elves, but you are not. You are a naughty goblin in real life. You're cruising down the LA boardwalk on your longboard, looking for holiday fruitcake to eat. Then it occurs to you, why don't I just steal some?
You identify someone who looks like they would be carrying a holiday fruitcake and chase them with your longboard. They turn around and see you coming, so they try to run away, but you catch up to them. Then you kick their boards over and beat them with your longboard until they're unconscious or dead.
Either one.
It doesn't matter.
I also love how we just profile them and like assume that they're holding a fruitcake.
Yeah, like I want to know what a potential. Yeah, I wonder what characteristics are common to fruitcake carriers.
You search their pockets for a fruitcake.
As soon as you have beaten the human being unconscious, you can smell the fruitcake they were carrying. You grab the fruitcake from their pockets. It smells delicious.
You savor the delectable aroma of holiday fruitcake that you have seized by force.
This fruitcake is so rare. It is a Christmas cake from the house of Charles Baileys of New York. It's moist, it's spicy, and there's a nice balance of sweet and sour. You take a big bite out of the fruitcake. It is so good.
That was so elaborate, just so distinguished.
This feels like American Psycho, like Christmas.
Yeah, wow.
American fruitcake goblin.
Yeah.
You say, I am a real-life goblin, and this sour fruitcake satisfied all of my holiday cravings, including violence.
As you speak out loud, a strange sensation drains the blood from your face. A chill runs down your spine and then in your brain. Your goblin eyes widen and you look around nervously. Stop talking.
You say, who said that?
Nobody answers. After a couple of minutes, you realize it is the holiday effect. You relish in the dark humor and laugh aloud. The real-life goblin mind is playing tricks on you, it seems. A lumpy, bitter, sweet, peppery, sugary cake goes down the hatch like a potion. You keep eating and eating still more of this excellent fruitcake to sate your hunger.
You devour the last piece of fruitcake and continue cruising down the Los Angeles boardwalk.
As you approach the downtown area of Los Angeles, you see numerous homeless people. You might be able to steal a few dollars from the crack whores who walk around selling their drug addiction.
You think to yourself, wow, that's so poetic.
Nobody answers. A big helicopter hovers in the sky above you. You think, it's a Black Hawk. I wonder if there's soldiers inside it? Nobody answers. You are scared.
You ride your longboard off a ramp and land in the cockpit of the helicopter.
The army helicopter hovers in the air as it slowly turns to face you. You stare in awe at the firepower it could bring to bear against the enemies of the state, such as a naughty goblin. You hop off your longboard and push it to the side of the boardwalk. You take a running start and jump at the helicopter. The Black Hawk starts to descend. You land in the cockpit of the helicopter and demandingly say to the pilot, "What do I look like?" The pilot is a young man and studies you in the mirror while saying, "Like a goblin, perhaps?"
You say, yeah, I'm a real-life goblin in your cockpit.
He starts to lower the helicopter again and yells, "Houston, we have a password. What is it?" You think briefly. You know the password is from the movie GoldenEye.
You say, the password is fruitcake for goblins.
The famous GoldenEye quote.
Yep, that's right.
The pilot looks at you, puzzled. "What kind of password is that?" he asks. You smile and show your fangs. "It's fruitcake for goblins password." "Goblins love fruitcake," you reply. He hesitates, then types in the correct password. "Okay, now I'm lowering the cyclic rate and the main rotors will cease," he says. "You What? Rude. You say, feeling vibrations in the floor. Those are the main rotors, he says, and those are beating in unison with the tail rotors.
You say, tell me something I don't know, Dad.
The helicopter rapidly descends to street level. The sky is an awesome shade of orange. You haven't seen that color since you were at the beach last month.
You threaten the pilot with your real-life goblin fangs and order him to bring you to the Charles Bailey's estate in New York so you can obtain more fruitcake.
The pilot lets you put a rope around his waist and dangles from the helicopter. You grab him by the shoulders to pull him back in and stuff your head deep into his neck. Shit, it's a long way down. He claws at your eyes, but you back him into a corner and say, don't move your arms or I'll break them. Talk to me. What's your name? He says, fine. I'll take you to the Charles Bailey's estate in New York. The helicopter brings you to the Charles Bailey's estate in New York on the helicopter pad. You walk up to the front door and rap 3 times. An eye peers out of a hole in the door. You think you see a hook on the other side of the door. Who's there? Asks a voice.
You say, I'm one of Santa Claus's dear, most cherished, and highly decorated elven helpers. I'm not a feral goblin in real life.
Very smooth talker. The eye widens. Oh, Santa's dear. And the door opens. You go in without knocking. A group of elves stand around a large tree with ornaments on it. One of the elves stands up and announces, welcome to Santa's workshop. Don't tell anyone, but Charles Bailey's is actually an anagram for Boss Claus Santa, y'all. He grins. The elves of the North Pole would never forget to thank a real-life visitor. We have much to discuss. They lead to the dining hall.
It's absolutely not an anagram for Charles Bailey's either, is it?
No.
Yeah, no, there's no I there.
Maybe the apostrophe and y'all could be the I.
Yeah.
There's one giant table in the room with many chairs around it. A large, burly, elven woman sits in the chair to your right. You try your best to act like a cultured elf.
You bow your head and say, I greet you, O great Santa Fe of the North. The elven woman doesn't even look up. Bah humbug. You lick your lips and salivate as you think of the goblin delicacy humbugged hog bug. The elves begin to talk amongst themselves. The big burly elf woman gets up and leaves. The elves at the table stand up. One elf says, elf hunters have been spotted on the North American continent. They're coming here.
You say, how long do we, the elves, and only elves, have before the elf hunters arrive here? Will Santa protect us?
The elf sitting to your left answers, Santa does not know. The elf hunters are known to track their prey by its smell. They are stronger than goblins. They will come here and kill all the elves, and they would also kill goblins if for some reason there were any sneaky goblins here.
You start sweating sticky, thick goblin sweat.
The elves begin pulling out their candy cane swords and donning nutcracker armor as they prepare for the arrival of the elf hunters.
You say, where do we elves keep all of our Charles Bailey brand fruitcake rations again?
The elf sitting to your right pulls a small black cube out of his pocket and says, this festive Tesseract opens a portal to all the fruitcake we have. Our lives depend on it. The fruitcake nourishes every elf in the North Pole.
Your real-life goblin eyes bulge out of your skull and your jaw drops to the floor when you behold the festive Tesseract.
The elves at the table begin chanting and singing as they prepare for the arrival of the elf hunters. The little black cube is turned over and the elves continue their song. Waves of fruitcake pour forth from the festive Tesseract to feed the army of elves in their desperate, or their fucking fuck. Let's do that line again.
No, keep it.
Yeah, that's good.
In their defense against the elf hunters, the elves begin chanting louder and louder. The elf hunters shall fall to our blades. The big elven woman begins beating a drum. As the elves gather their fruitcake rations, you can barely stop the saliva in your mouth from spilling out your real-life goblin maw. The elven drums begin to beat faster and faster, and the elves begin stomping their feet to the rhythm of the drums. Cannonballs slam into the wall and dust trickles down from the rafters as the building shakes. The big elf woman begins jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill! Slaughter! Feed! Slaughter! Kill! Slaughter! Furthermore, I am the Great Grim! This is my finest hour!"
In a mocking tone, you say, do you want fries with that sentence?
The elf woman stops stomping her feet and gives you a very angry look. The elves at the table stop chanting and look very confused at your joke.
As the elf hunters burst into the room, you realize it's now or never. You have to grab the Festive Tesseract or you will never taste Charles Bailey's fruitcake again.
You jump up from your seat and run towards the table, leaping over the heads of elves and smacking into the table. You grab the cube in midair and chomp it. The elves scream in terror as they do battle with the elf hunters. As you flee, you roll out of the way of an axe and slam a fruitcake into an elf hunter's head. The elf hunter lets out a blood-curdling scream as he stumbles toward you. You take a running jump and slam the fruitcake into another hunter's face. He grabs his face as he falls to the ground and screams up at you. You take off running and leap into the air, doing a backflip as you come crashing down on the head of an elf hunter who's blocking your exit. You bite down on a mouthful of fruitcake and spit it at an elf hunter. It hits him in the face and he screams.
With the Festive Tesseract in hand, you take one last look at the carnage before bolting for the helicopter.
Elves lie dead on the ground, chopped up or bleeding from multiple wounds. Some of the elves have managed to take cover and shoot at you with their little bolt-action rifles, so pissed that you stole their Tesseract. One elf, bleeding from severe wounds, makes eye contact with you just before you slip out the door. With tears in his eyes, he cries out to you. "You're not one of Santa Claus's dear, most cherished and highly decorated elven helpers. You're a no-good real-life feral goblin." You give him a nod and a wink and say, "Wow, that's so poetic," as you mount your goblin longboard.
You haul ass through the entire Charles Bailey's New York facility and make it back to your helicopter.
The entire place is a slaughter. It's hard to tell which side slaughtered the most. You make it back to your chopper and see your pilot being interrogated by two elves.
You maul them with your goblin fangs and claws until they are unconscious or dead.
They're nothing more than a mouthful of jelly and a pair of skinny arms sticking out of a robe. You toss them aside and climb into the helicopter.
You say, "Start the helicopter. Let's get out of here, bro. I'm a goblin from LA and it's time to go home."
The pilot looks like he's been through hell, and he begins to fly out of the chaos. Fruitcake surges out of the Festive Tesseract and floods the ground below as it spills out of the cockpit. There's no way to sugarcoat it. This was a holiday massacre. And you're the real-life Goblin Massa King, baby!
You take a big bite of Charles Bailey's fruitcake and pontificate on its quality as you soar over beautiful Los Angeles.
Your belly is growling, and the taste of that fine elven dough is still on your tongue. A goblin, or as they say in your world, mischief manager, you are.
It's a beautiful day. I wonder where my husband is. Hey, Doug!
Yeah,
Where are you?
over here in the hammock.
What do you want for dinner tonight?
I don't know, you go shopping?
No, I don't feel like it.
You feel like eating?
Maybe some fish?
What kind of fish?
Oh, how about some rainbow trout?
Fruit cake.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? What?
This one do?
What?
This one do?
Yeah. Let's cook them up.
Okay. Got it, get away!
Everybody's excited. Nice.
Fruit cake.
Thanks.